Hello and welcome to In Depth. I'm Preston Buford. Today we're talking about anger. Now, as I mentioned last week, and I do in my most of my videos, that I'm not a counselor. I don't hold any degree. I'm not a pastor. I'm a Sunday school teacher. Well, last week I also talked about that we were going to speak about anger, and I know about anger as being a person because we all have experienced anger. However, we always don't find the best ways to deal with our anger. But today we do have an anger specialist on the show. Through networking, like I talked about before, I was able to find my father. My father is an anger management counselor, and he also teaches drug and alcohol. So please welcome my dad, Dusty Buford.
Hello. So you have some questions for me?
I sure do. I was hoping that you might be able to answer some questions that might help us later in the show. But first, I want to ask, how long did you do anger management? How long did you teach anger management?
I've got over 20 years of counseling, and I'm retired as an addiction treatment counselor, and throughout that whole time, I taught anger management classes in one venue or another. I worked in a couple different places and taught anger management in both of them, or several of them.
Awesome.
And it's important when you're talking about anger, though, it's important to know that anger is an emotion, and as an emotion, it brings about feelings, right? And because feelings and emotion are not the same, but emotions can be feelings are well, here let me just give it this way. Anger is an emotion, right? And anger can bring forth a feeling of hatred or disgust or dislike, simple dislike. So, where love is also an emotion, it can bring forth feelings of happiness, joy, and things like that. Happiness and joy and even euphoria.
Yeah, of course.
So, in which anger can bring about a euphoria in a way, but it's a little different, and it can, because it can move into another emotion called rage, which brings out a kind of a euphoria, and it can be very dangerous. Okay, so you have to remember. Oh, so you had some other questions, though, right?
Yes, I do. Question one: how can we use anger in a positive way?
Well, here's the thing: anger in a positive way. Anger it can be used in a positive way because anger carries with it a lot of energy. See, and several emotions carry energy. Excitement. Excitement is a very energetic emotion, right? So, but it's still an emotion, right? Well, so is anger. Anger's an emotion, and it carries a lot of energy too. So, what we need to learn to do is move that energy into other areas of our life. So we can use it to work harder on something. If let's say we're outside, digging. I like to garden, so I like to translate all that stuff into gardening and things like that, and later on we'll talk about calming effects, things that you can do to help calm, but right now you can use that energy to get out there and just get your foot on a shovel and just dig and throw that dirt, right?
So it's like a good motivator.
Yeah, it can be a very good motivator. So there's a lot of energy. So translating that energy into things that you like to do. Like I said, I translate into gardening. Others, like to exercise, so they can use it for pumping iron or running. Running is a good way to get out some energy, right? If you have a lot of energy, and anger can push a lot of energy to the surface. So.
Oh, yeah. All right. Do you have any tips we can use to manage our anger?
Well, yeah, the thing is when it comes to managing anger, anger's not really a management thing. Okay, so here's the thing is that managing anger is like, people like to think that when you manage your anger, then it's stopping the anger or preventing it so that you don't have anger anymore. That can't be done. Everyone's gonna have anger, and you're gonna have it. Lots of things. I mean, I watch the news and I get really angry. I lately I've been watching the January 6th thing where about who did what and how some political people were motivating people to hurt others, and I get angry at at how could they do this? Why or some people were supposed to try to stop it, and they didn't. They just let it go on for 3 hours or more, and without saying a word.
I get angry just watching the
And
price.
you get angry watching that,
The
and
price
so
of gas go up. I get
yeah,
angry.
absolutely. I went to the pump the other day and filled up my tank, and it wasn't even empty. But I went ahead and filled it up. It had almost a half a tank in it, and it cost me $77 to fill it the rest of the way up. It's just crazy, the price of gasoline right now. But a lot of that is due to the war in
Ukraine.
in Ukraine,
Russia,
yeah, and so that can't be helped. But I get angry about how that is going. People still think that they can run over and take somebody else's land by force. This is not, these are forms of righteous anger. These are things that can make you angry, but how do we deal with that? So one of the things that I like to do is, like I said, I translate everything into gardening. So I go outside and I water. I stand there with a hose. I don't put on a sprinkler and let it water. No, I stand there with a hose and water.
So it's you physically doing something.
Yeah, and well, not only am I using some of that energy to do that, but the running water has a very calming effect. So taking showers, long baths, aromatherapy is also good. You can light candles, sit in the bathtub and light candles, or you can do something where you have running water, taking long showers, or just standing outside with a water hose. And I have a rain thing that comes out when I'm watering, so all that running water has a calming effect.
Oh.
Anytime you can get near a large body of water. I also love to fish, so I go out to lakes and rivers and things, and when you can get near a large body of water, there's a very calming effect. And especially hearing it lap against the shore, the water lap against the shore, has a very calming effect. So these are good ways in managing your anger. But you can never get rid of anger completely. It'll always be there. It'll always be popping up when you least expect it.
Yeah, I always heard the worst thing to do is try and get rid of your anger is losing it.
You notice I talk a lot with my hands.
All right, so what negative effects can we expect by not controlling our anger?
Well, I don't know if you can. I don't know about controlling it. Controlling is a really a hard word, because that means, like, putting a rope around it and cinching it up tight, right? And that that's hard to do. But
You can
the
channel
thing is what happens is we often allow our anger to increase more and build upon itself. So it can start out with just with a bad day at the office, right? And you come home, and then the dog is barking and won't be quiet, and things can build on, and if we don't do something early on, so one of the things that you come home from work, take 15 minutes or something and just be by yourself and allow a cool down period. What was the question?
So basically, so let's say you don't use water.
Oh,
or
okay. So you
don't
allow it to,
use
if you
any
allow
of
it to build a rage can be really destructive. See, and because then people begin to lash out, and they can hurt other people, or they break things, they throw things across the room. Some people, will get mad at their cell phone and throw it across the room, up against the wall. Then they end up having to buy another new cell phone, and they get angry about how expensive that is. So that just creates more opportunities for anger.
Oh,
But don't allow it to. The thing is you don't allow it to build to rage. Take a few minutes. Go out and water the grass. Again, like I like gardening is one, or expending some of that energy and going for a run or whatever it is you like to do. But there are lots of things that you can do to motivate, use that energy to motivate something else along.
okay. How can we express our anger without losing our temper?
Well, that's it, and that takes practice. And the thing is learning how to talk about your feelings. See, and talking about your feelings can be a very difficult thing. You see, me, I express my feelings a lot, right? Because I learned that if I don't express those feelings, then everything goes sideways, So I tell my sons I love them, I tell my daughters I love them, my grandchildren I love them. Every chance I get, I tell them I love them, because I want them, not only do I know that they already know that, but I never want to miss an opportunity to let them know that I love them, so that when they see me angered or see me frustrated by something, because frustration often leads to anger, then they can say, "Hey, Dad, I love you," and not only that, telling people about how you feel can really help someone else's day. So, learning to talk about it, whatever the emotion is, whether it's or anger. If you're angry, say, "Gee whiz, I really, I'm really upset or frustrated about this. What is you any ideas of what I could do?" Ask for help. That's a great thing, is asking for help. And there are lots and lots of, when I taught anger management, I taught classes, and they were basically, most of them were all free that I taught. I don't think I ever taught a class that you couldn't go to for free. That anyone and anywhere, anyone could come to it whenever the class was on, and sit there for free. So talking about it, going, that's the best way to do that.
All right. My last question, I guess, it kind of answered it already. What is the best way we can find peace from our anger?
Well, is that, finding a resolution, right? So when I look at the TV and going back to that January 6th thing that I've been watching on the TV, it might take a while for me to find any resolution on that, but there is a, there are ways that I can manage it by going out here in my garden, right? But eventually I'll see a resolution when they finish this. They're coming back in September. Right now they stopped, and they'll be back in September for more hearings on who did what and what happened when, right? But I don't want to get into that. I'm not here to discuss politics. And, but that's a, so it may take a while sometimes to get a resolution. But however, though, if I'm angry because I got a flat tire, right, and then I go and fix the tire, get the tire fixed, then I have a resolution. I no longer, the anger's gone, right? Mm-hmm. See, but if you're angry because you got a flat tire and you walk over and kick the taillight and break it, then you gotta clean.
Yeah, or
you got to fix the tire and the taillight.
Or you hurt yourself in the process.
Yeah, and you hurt yourself in the you
Exactly.
can hurt yourself in the process. So these are, learning to nip it in the bud more or less as quickly as possible, right? So, you get frustrated and say, oh, you know what? Let me take a couple deep breaths. And what can I do? Well, so what can I do to rectify this? And start looking for solutions. Stop using the situation to fuel your anger, and start looking for resolutions. How can I resolve this? I can fix the flat tire, or what have you.
All right, so I know that you said you were retired after 20,
I'm retired now.
After 20 plus years. If our viewers at home want to leave a comment or a question,
25 years.
25 years. If our viewers at home want to leave a comment or a question, would you be willing to answer those questions?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I will. I'll answer any questions that anybody has, and my qualifications are. I was certified AOD counselor, addiction treatment counselor for as I said, over 20 years, and also certified clinical supervisor. So I taught other counselors to be counselors. So and I'm willing to answer any questions that you might have.
Awesome. We're so glad to have you on the show today. And we thank you all for watching. We hope and pray that you guys have a blessed day. Next week we will be with a pastor. We're going to be talking about pastoral care and some things like that. So if you want to know what a pastor's life is like, we hope that you join us next week. Thank you, and God bless.